TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, and Theano. Could you explain how they compare?
Yes. TensorFlow and PyTorch are both open-source machine learning libraries used for both research and production. TensorFlow was developed by the Google Brain team, and PyTorch by Facebook's AI Research Lab. Keras is a high-level neural networks API that can run on top of TensorFlow, Theano, and Microsoft CNTK, but now it's fully integrated into TensorFlow as tf.keras. Theano is also an open-source numerical computation library, but it's no longer actively developed since 2017.
I see. How do they differ in terms of their computational paradigms?
TensorFlow originally used a static computational graph, meaning you define the graph first and then run the entire model. PyTorch, on the other hand, uses dynamic computational graphs, which are defined on the fly during execution. However, TensorFlow has introduced eager execution for imperative programming, which is quite similar to PyTorch's approach.
Can you give me an example of how you define a simple model in both TensorFlow and PyTorch?
Of course. In TensorFlow with eager execution, you'd define a model like this. In PyTorch, it would look like this.
I noticed that the PyTorch example uses a class, while TensorFlow does not.
Yes, PyTorch models are usually defined by subclassing NN module, which provides a lot of flexibility. TensorFlow's sequential API is simpler but less flexible than subclassing. However, you can also subclass tf.keras model for more complex models.
What about performance? Is one faster than the other?
Performance can depend on the specific task, but they are both highly optimized and offer similar speeds. TensorFlow may have an edge in production environments due to the support of TensorFlow Serving and TensorFlow Lite for mobile devices.
How about ease of use?
PyTorch is often praised for its ease of use, especially when it comes to debugging, because of its dynamic graph. TensorFlow's static graph is less intuitive, but its integration with Keras has made it much more user-friendly.
And what about community support and ecosystem?
TensorFlow has a larger ecosystem, with tools like TensorBoard for visualization and more extensive documentation. PyTorch has gained a lot of popularity in the research community for its simplicity and has a growing ecosystem as well.
Could you illustrate how you would train and evaluate a model in TensorFlow and PyTorch?
Sure. In TensorFlow, after you define and compile your model, you would train it like this. In PyTorch, it's a bit more hands-on.
This is quite insightful. What about Keras and Theano?
Keras is known for its user-friendliness and its easy-to-use high-level API. It abstracts a lot of the complexity in defining neural networks, making it great for beginners. Theano is more of a low-level library and requires more boilerplate code, but it's not used much these days since it's no longer actively developed.
With Theano being out of the picture, which one should I choose for my project?
If you need a strong production-ready framework with an extensive ecosystem, TensorFlow might be the way to go. If you're doing research or prefer dynamic graphs and ease of use, PyTorch is excellent. And if you're just starting out or need to prototype quickly, Keras, as part of TensorFlow, is very accessible.
Thank you for the detailed comparison. This will certainly help me decide which one to use.
You're welcome. Don't forget to consider the community, documentation, and the specific features you need for your project. Good luck.